This video is sponsored by Morning Brew.
Tell me a tale of your deeds, that I might know thee.
I fear I have none to tell. I have served Arthur's court for some years now. He is every bit the man people say he is, but I despise him. I despise what he is and what I'm not. Sir, I fear I'm not meant for greatness.
Fear can be a powerful motivator. There is a hideous monster, here, in the forest of Brasilian. I would have you rid my kingdom of this beast.
It's a trope that is desperately old, and yet I'm sure a narrative arc that for some reason just speaks to us. An unlikely hero who has yet to prove himself. These are the stories I have loved for the longest time, and really, the only one I'm unlikely to ever get sick of, the hero's journey. I've always been someone who's enjoyed The Lord of the Rings, the Arthurian legend, hell, even Aragon. I would play RuneScape as a spicy young middle schooler and imagine the arc within those RPGs, as the man who is fragmented and weak, finding his adventure. Someone who hasn't started their initial cutscene, but getting going in the game of life. But as so often we do, I was someone who was continuously enjoying these narratives and enjoying these fantasies on a loop without ever getting started. As I delved somewhat into the tales of the Arthurian legend to make this video, I was surprised to see the incredible level of imperfection that Arthur and his knights had. In one tale, Mordred is knighted by Arthur and joins the Fellowship of the Round Table, only to aid Arthur's downfall. In another of the more mysterious tales, Sir Gawain is a member of the Round Table who largely feels inadequate because he has yet to prove himself of any great accomplishment. It goes to show that this feeling of inadequacy, of not being worthy of a particular title, is a sentiment that runs deep, one that is relatable to a lot of people. Joseph Campbell, a professor at Sarah Lawrence College, studied lore from every culture. He looked at everything from the ancient religions of antiquity to the mythology of more modern religions. His research led him to focus on comparative mythology. Specifically, he looked at what myths from different cultures had in common, and rather what they didn't. Everywhere Campbell searched, he found a single storytelling arc, the monomyth, beginning with the main character or hero in one place and ending up with him in another, both physically and mentally. Campbell asserts that this hero is the same regardless of the story and that he appears in different forms. Within each journey, the hero will encounter other characters that play an essential role in its growth. The hero's journey can be a useful lens through which to view any change in your life. Whatever new journey you're taking, you will go through all the phases of the monomyth as you grow and adapt. Here's an example.
I am obviously sorry that we are here today, but these are extraordinary times, as you very well must know.
You lose your job, and although you feel its loss and you want it back, you eventually decide that you want to move on to a new career. You might seek the help of a business coach or simply read. You decide to start your own business. There are a lot of challenges along the way, as well as successes and failures, tests, allies, enemies. You follow this path to its ultimate conclusion, and you wind up creating something that's better and that allows you to better the world. Through this lens, the great tragedy that you've been exposed to, perhaps one that is incredibly relatable to so many people right now, turns into a quest, a call to adventure. It might seem like a stupid way of playing pretend with something terrible that's happened, or it could be seen as that call to adventure. Before continuing, a quick word from today's video sponsor, Morning Brew. Morning Brew is a free daily newsletter that comes Monday through Saturday, which gets you up to speed on world news, politics, and business in just 5 minutes. I've often avoided traditional news. It's dry, dense, boring. As I get going in the morning, I do just grab my phone, and the instinct is to just surf it randomly, going through my social media. But with Morning Brew, you can learn news that is witty, relevant, informative, and often much more empowering than traditional news sources. This week I learned about Amazon Web Services launching Honeycode, which is a no-code mobile web app builder. It's going to make it easy for anybody in their company to build their own applications, which is super cool. There's no reason not to subscribe to Morning Brew if you're interested in business, politics, finance, or tech. It's completely free and it takes less than 15 seconds to subscribe. Click the link in the description box below to subscribe to Morning Brew today. As the Channel Academy of Ideas put it in their excellent video on this subject, to make the voyages of a questing life, we must become bold, as all quests necessitate leaving the terra firma of the familiar. Quests are defined by their uncertainties, dangers, and risks, and so we must learn of the uncertain and unknown. Here are a few exercises that could help you choose and ascertain a prize of your own adventure. Hopefully these don't sound hokey, but rather will strengthen your heroic imagination and propel you into heroic action. 1. Jump through time. Imagine you blacked out of your life right now and 20 years sped by. If you kept your current routine, disciplines, actions, mindset, what would have transpired? It's easy to forget because progress happens incrementally, in the particulars. It's so hard to remember that the glass of water you drank or the hour of focused study done or not done will leave an effect on the future, but certainly it will. Each thought and action we lay forth is an investment in what we wish to see transpire and bloom 20 years from now. So take a stern look at the future you might currently be building. Perhaps err on the negative side, that your actions or lack of actions have led to disappointment. Now come back to now. I actually stole this exercise from one of my good friends, Marcus Aurelius. Aurelius had said, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." Which should give you an indication of the second half of this exercise. You have been given an opportunity to redo the last 20 years. This impossible goal of having time returned to you, rewarded to you, this is a gift that cannot be matched. Time is the only blessing which no employer or investment can bestow you. But through this exercise, you have done this much for yourself. Number 2, choose a quest. What one goal could you reasonably achieve in the next few months? Make this goal only a 30% improvement to your current level of success in that terrain. A 1.3x level of progress in your career or your relationships or your health. That much is completely feasible if you made it your focal point. It's also important to consider the fact that perhaps progress in one avenue leads to progress in everything. Momentum is like a solve. It lubricates, it provides ease of progress in other areas of life as well. Getting healthy, cultivating a better mindset might seem unrelated to business or relationships, but it's bound to have an effect on those aspects as well. Number 3, write down your goal with the deadline. Something quite strange happens when you put pen to paper and make the declaration that you will do something you've never done. It provides your brain the opportunity to really consider that this target is possible. And secondly, it provides you with an immediate sense of urgency. The question no longer is, can I do this, but rather, how can I do this? Number 4, create a protocol of action with the best of what you know. As Patton once said it, an imperfect plan violently executed is superior to the perfect plan merely thought about. You already know a lot. At the very least, you have common sense. With the constraints you must face, and trust me, everyone has constraints. With the resources you have at your disposal, and with a mere few months to win this quest, what should you do? What's the plan? Number 5, devote time weekly to reviewing progress, considering your obstacles, and to learning how to overcome them. When repeatedly asked by people, how can I make more money, Brian Tracy advised people to ask themselves, what one skill, if I developed and did in an excellent fashion, would have the greatest possible impact on my life? You can similarly do this for your own target. What are the skills needed to overcome the obstacle? Which mentor should you reach out to? And then, whatever answer reveals itself to you, follow through. And finally, number 6, accomplish at least one thing on the plan every day. My friend Ali Abdal calls this the highlight of the day. Often the projects of life require time for you to plant seeds to bloom, and this means days passing. To ensure that those seeds are in fact planting and blooming, that progress is being made, keep just one highlight, just one task that needs to be done that day. And the one most important thing, believe me when I say, that much is completely sufficient for seeing 1.3x progress just a few months from now. And for those of us who are willing to choose a quest, write it down with a deadline, create a protocol of action with the best of what we know, to devote time to reviewing its progress, and finally to accomplish our highlight of the day, to us I say, greatness is coming.